You know, we have a gentleman from Georgia that I've been privileged to be elected with in 2010, serve alongside in both Agriculture Committee and Armed Services. And I believe he's one of the most hardworking members on Armed Services. And if you are his constituent, I want you to know he is at every hearing. He does his homework. And I appreciate you coming out tonight to share your thoughts on the NDAA. So, Austin Scott from Georgia.
Well, I want to thank you, Ms. Hartzler, for what you've done here. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity to discuss what's happened here today. And as we talked earlier today, I honestly thought there was a chance that we wouldn't be here speaking about this. I thought that maybe this one time that our Commander-in-Chief would do what was right. I hope you'll take an opportunity to look at the news. I'm looking at it right now. Obama to hold photo op to veto defense bill. Obama plans to hold a photo op in the Oval Office when he uses his veto pen on the National Defense Authorization Act, according to his public schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, when I'm around the district, I hear a lot of complaints. Why can't Congress just work together? Why can't you get along? The National Defense Authorization Act came out of the Armed Services Committee 60-2. 60-2. There was one Democrat and one Republican that voted against the bill. 60-2. It came through the House. A significant majority voted for the National Defense Authorization Bill on the floor. It passed out of the Senate with over 70 votes. And when I'm talking to Americans, I have used this as an example of how not everything you see in the press is true, that there are issues like national security that the Democrats and the Republicans in Washington, D.C. absolutely take very seriously. And when it comes to the well-being of our men and women that serve the country and their families and making sure that they have the training and the equipment that they need, that this is an example of how we're able to put partisanship aside and work in the best interest of everybody in the country, most especially those that serve so honorably. And the President held a photo op to veto the bill. I want to thank my fellow colleagues, both Democrats and Republicans, for their work on this bill. Certainly I supported it. I continue to support it. And I think one of the things that continues to be mentioned and needs to be mentioned over and over and over again is the President got the total of what he asked for with regard to the authorization of the funds for carrying out the fight against ISIL, for the operations of the military. There were a couple of things in it that he didn't like. One of them was the transfer of terrorists out of Guantanamo Bay. Now, I would just ask that you think about the fact that since the first NDAA 50 years ago, it's only been vetoed 4 times. And in each instance, there was an agreement effectively prior to the veto on how to resolve it. Mm-hmm. But not this guy. Not this guy. Holds a photo op so that he can show off while he vetoes the National Defense Authorization Act. I just hope that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will join us as we work to override the President's veto in the House. I honestly believe that we'll get the votes in the House to do that. I hope that the members of the Senate who voted for the National Defense Authorization Act will vote for it again when they have the opportunity to do so after we send the bill over there, after we have overridden the President's veto on this piece of legislation in the House. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to apologize. If the President won't do it, I want to do it. What happened today, I think, will long be looked upon as one of the worst moments of American leadership. With that, Ms. Hartzler, I thank you again for what you've done for the men and women who serve and your service in this House, and I yield the remainder of my time.